My name is Margaret Ann Windsor, and this tape is about mind control and some letters and information I put on former videotapes and also on Facebook. But also I want to give you just a slight background on this. I was kidnapped and brought to Moulton, Alabama in 1941 from Buckingham Palace. I was given the name of Peggy Ann Dempsey. Childers was my married name, and Peggy was a twin to Carl. Their mother was Lina Dempsey, and she was unwed back then and had killed the twins. And I was brought there, I think, at Cortland Air Base, which was being built, dropped off there in a pigsty, and grew up being told that was my mother and that I was illegitimate. Later in '83, I found that my parents are King Edward VIII, never married Wallace Simpson. Wallace Simpson married an imposter, a double, and helped take down the British Empire with Elizabeth and her father and my uncle George VI, the brother to my father Edward VIII. All of those were lies, and 99-year seal put on it, and to cover it up. And then I was kidnapped. I was born in 41, kidnapped in, I was born in 39, kidnapped in 41. And right here is where I want to say that the Rockefellers, the Kennedys, Joseph Kennedy was ambassador to Great Britain 36 to 46 when he was kicked out. Roosevelt was the president, and he helped in my kidnapping with the Kennedys, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and later Henry Kissinger became a part of the whole hell that was being done to me and my family. I had two sons, Mark and Scott, and to the British. The British really have suffered so much, and the Germans too. Some Americans tried to help me, but before I lose you here, or not, it's on former tapes, I've told it back since '77 when I wrote a book about mind control. And I got a letter from the FBI June the 23rd, which happens to be the day my father's birthday, different year, 79. I thought it was because of the book I did on mind control and doctors and Larry McDonald, who was a U.S. congressman and a physician in the book. Later in '83, the plane he was on was shot down when it veered off course, and the Soviets shot it down. It was a KAL, and all the passengers died. Supposedly he was on it. I've often wondered and been told that maybe he was taken off in Juneau with Nixon was on it. But I'm getting off course here. In '83, August the 31st of '83, the plane went down, and Larry McDonald, Dr. Congressman, was supposed to have gone down with it, and they have. I became a candidate and was flown out to Larry Flint's Bel Air home at the time in California, Bel Air, California. St. Cloud was the street he was on, twice in October of that year for his political support. Also, Larry Flint knew that I'd been given antifreeze on April the 1st of '80. And his first remarks was when I met him in the library at his home, they were going to send you back a vegetable. By that he meant he knew about the antifreeze, and send me back was kind of like they did to Anastasia. They actually killed her here in Charlottesville, and I came to Roanoke in October the 20th, I believe it was, of '86. So she was sent back, her ashes, and they never said it was Anna. It was Anastasia, really. And that's what Flint meant by sending me back to Great Britain as a vegetable. So he was shot. The man who shot him in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and I was doing the book in Marietta, about 40 miles away, I guess, or 45. So that guy was programmed, and in this, Larry Flint says that I know who's responsible for his killing. Well, excuse me, his attorney's killing, and Mr. Flint. But then look at what they did to Mr. Flint. Don't you call that murder? Uh, here's the editorial in Hustler, and this is in '84 after I was out there. I also want to show my father was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, a sister to Georgia O'Keefe, the artist. So all of it, how can you cover it up? And because I'll tell you why. The people who helped in my kidnapping, my uncle who became the illegal George VI, they're using my money and the British money to take down the Brits. Elizabeth, um, that's my money. I'm the legitimate heir to the crown. I have starved. I've had the law. I've had everything done against me and my sons, Mark and Scott, who are heirs. Here's what I want to go and focus on. I'm going to show the picture here and focus on this. And the recent videos I've just put up because the Rockefellers, Rothschilds helped in my kidnapping. Now then, when I'm going to focus on the mind control murders, like was done to Flint, the last few days I want to focus on because the general public doesn't have this database. Mind control is not visible. A hypnotist who is hypnotizing a person in front of someone, you can see the subject's reaction to the hypnotist and what transpires. In mind control, that's done through frequencies, and a long time ago it could be done with handsets. Now then stop and think about it, but now you're also told if you mention anything like that, you're crazy. Did it ever occur to anyone that's exactly, they're using psychological warfare like MK Ultra? No one wants to admit it. They just are going to release the tapes and report on the Sandy Hook. Can anybody stop and think about Tucson, Arizona? You've got next door to me, you've got Virginia Tech, the 33 killings, April the 16th of '07. And then you had the psychiatrist at Fort Hood. He finished school here at Blacksburg, Virginia Tech. It's about 40 miles from me here in Roanoke. The murders I told about in my book happened in '77 and prior. These are since, and they're done in patterns. And there's a lot more that happened at Tech and at Charlottesville University of Virginia that nobody's connected. But I'm just going to focus on my dad and the double and my uncle, George, who met in '39 with Roosevelt. That's the year I was born. And by the way, I'm taking up too much time. I was really going to focus on this. This is my father, King Edward VIII, the real one, the double that married Wallace Simpson, my uncle in '39 with Roosevelt. This is an old picture of my sons Mark and Scott and me. And this is my Aunt Georgia O'Keefe. I don't have one of my mother. I didn't find out until '83 about my birth. Of course, this is the Fort Hood shooter. And this is James Holmes, Aurora, Colorado. And this is Jen Zorings and Elizabeth Haysom, next door Bedford, that everybody knew it was mind control, yet they went ahead and prosecuted them. Murders happened April of 85, and this is Elizabeth, who's lived quite the life off of my money, and she works for the American government, not the British. Okay, I tried to tell about patterns, and right now I'm just going to follow up, and I hope I don't get him in trouble. A lot of this has been done like Scott Peterson, using the name of my sons, like one of my sons is named Scott. And 3 or 4 of the murders that happened between 2009 and 12 were done, 2012 were done using my son's name. They're into programming, and it's who's doing it, and people really just think it, all around here they know it. I'm the one getting beat up, so their thought is, hey, they're not going to take up for me. So I'm not going to elaborate on that. There was one that involved Rich Phil, a nurse there. Her daughter was kidnapped, and her father was a Lynchburg policeman, but she was kidnapped and taken to San Francisco, and the mother was shot and killed. Then his name was Scott. Then there was another one right after them that happened on the campus at Virginia Tech, involving a young fellow named Scott from Radford. I believe he went to the University of Radford in Virginia, and he shot and killed a policeman, campus policeman, who had been a prior policeman, city policeman, I believe. But anyway, it's the names and patterns and timeline, and people don't want to believe it. Now then, I'm going to show this because it connects with the Santa Clarita and the letter that I put on Facebook and YouTube. And I've got many from him. He was a reporter, and please forgive me, Jack. I hope it doesn't get you in trouble, okay? Because he saved my life, so I don't want to repay him by telling the truth and people coming down on him. Here is he's got Newhall here. I wondered why, but this is his address there. And I've got many. He saved my life in 1980, okay? And that was the letter I had that was telling about mind control and all of that I put. And so the response is of Paul Walker, and there's other patterns done in that one. And also I want to say, this is just about Kennedy here. His dad helped. He was ambassador in my kidnapping and ongoing hell. But I wanted to mention real quick the Tide, Alabama Crimson Tide, that last play. And the police helicopter went down in Glasgow, Scotland. This past weekend those happened. Now, I didn't connect the train derailment until they come up with the Rockefeller was the engineer, I believe. And you know what is, it's so, the Rockefellers helped in my kidnapping. But here's what I wanted to say. This morning, it said that he even said he was nodding off. Okay, mind control, given you can go to sleep at the airplane if you're a pilot and it go down if you're told to. So you can do anything with it. But Rockefeller even said that he tried to put on the brakes, and they're blaming it on high speed, I believe. But here's his comment I just heard, that he described it, and I've never met this man. His name's William Rockefeller, engineer, highway hypnosis. So I'm going to leave it at that. No one's ever addressed what's been done to me, and I'm 75 years old, or my sons, or to the British. So I'm going to go on that and hope I have some kind of life left, because they've used a non-existent illness to slaughter me.